This year, we're going to have 3 legendary film composers doing 3 scores. But which one will be the best? I know it sounds kind of weird to compare film scores, but I do think this showdown could be really, really interesting. Quick shout out to my girlfriend. She not only gave me the idea for this video, but she made this unbelievable sign. 3 composers, 3 scores, and they're all coming out this year. And I think it's very likely that all 3 of them could be nominated for next year's Oscars. And I'm going to call it
the Ultimate Composer Showdown.
How have I got a girlfriend? So, who are these 3 composers? You've got the legendary John Williams, you've got the bombastic Hans Zimmer, and you've got the new kid on the block, Ludwig Göransson. So what do they all offer? Well, let's start with John Williams. I don't know if I need to introduce him to you, but I'm gonna do it anyway. He is the master of the theme. He makes scores where you hear it and you go, oh my god, that's Harry Potter, or Star Wars, or Superman, or E.T., or Indiana Jones, or Home Alone. And I'm saying all of those because John Williams scored all of those. He also did Jaws, which is just Steven Spielberg himself said that film would be nothing without his score.
Save the movie. You saved my movie with those notes.
Star Wars is so impressive for John Williams. John Williams did not only the original trilogy, but the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy, and managed to move them on in terms of where Star Wars was at the time, which is just insane. More serious movies like Munich, Schindler's List, and Saving Private Ryan. The man is just a behemoth of film composing. And I think it's so cool because this year he's come out of retirement to do Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. Steven Spielberg and John Williams kind of go hand in hand. You think of a Steven Spielberg film, and you probably hear a John Williams theme. And Disclosure Day is another UFO movie. If he can recreate anything as iconic as this from Close Encounters, then he's on to a winner. Next we have Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer, again, I could go on forever, but I'm just going to list a few. Thelma and Louise, The Lion King, Gladiator, Dune 1 and 2, The Dark Knight Trilogy, Sherlock Holmes, Pirates of the Caribbean. I know in the comments you might be like, no, that's actually Klaus Beidet. Klaus Beidet was actually his protege. Hans Zimmer had to go for scheduling conflicts, but he still had a lot of involvement and composed the original themes like He's a Pirate. And Dune is probably one of my absolute favourite scores from Hans Zimmer, and he's returning to do Dune Part 3. Now, what Hans Zimmer did is actually revolutionise film soundtracks. John Williams may be the master of the theme. Hans Zimmer is a master of the wall of sound. Something like Blade Runner 2049 is a great example of this, as well as the Dune soundtracks. They're more soundscapes. They add to the whole experience of the movies, rather than just being themes which complement character. Although he does do that as well.
And why are they electronic? Because I like making drum sound.
He broke the rules when he came into Hollywood. Even now, when he's so well established, I'm always excited to hear Hans Zimmer's score. Even if the Dune soundtrack does sound quite similar to Gladiator. I'm on to you, Hans. So lastly, we have the new kid on the block, Ludwig Göransson, who has done some legendary scores of late. His scores are so good they go viral instantly. He's done the Mandalorian series, he's done Tenet, he's done Oppenheimer. I mean, that score was everywhere in the summer of 2023. And then he got an Oscar this year for Sinners, which is an unbelievable score. So he's actually the only composer on this list that has 2 scores coming out this year. He's doing the Mandalorian and Grogu film, but he's also doing the Odyssey. Now, this is what I'm really counting, because I think this will just be more exciting. Because Christopher Nolan, having worked with Hans Zimmer as well, I just feel like gets great scores out of his composers. I mean, the Interstellar score, the Inception score from Hans Zimmer, unbelievable. He really allows his composers to experiment.
Take his experiments and we would put them to picture and edit them and try different things and show it to Ludwig, and he would go and bring more things to the table.
And that's what Ludwig Göransson is really good at doing. He brings classic composing with this new experimental electronic vibe, and it's so cool. So I'm really excited to see what he does with the Odyssey. I saw the preview of the Odyssey in IMAX, and it was just like this relentless bass soundtrack, which did make it feel absolutely epic. So, when we get to the Oscars, who's going to win? Alexandre Desplat went through this phase, the Oscars just seem to love him, and at the moment, Ludwig Göransson seems to be going through that phase. So, maybe he's the favourite. Do they give it to John Williams, because this might very well be the last score he does? Or Hans Zimmer? Will he surprise us with Dune 3 and just knock out another epic soundtrack, but something a little bit different than what we've seen? I do think it's almost more of a passing down the baton baton. John Williams' era of dominance was then taken over by Hans Zimmer, and maybe Ludwig Göransson is now the man of the moment. And Hans Zimmer will take a step back from the limelight whilst Ludwig Göransson amazes us. Regardless of that, I'm so excited for all three movies. They're three of my most anticipated movies of this year. But let me know what you think in the comments. Which composer is your favourite? Do you have another composer that you like more than the three I mentioned? Or do you not really give a fuck?